Kick the tires and light the fires. Do it.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Thanks for stopping into the Danger Zone. I'm Josh. Rich is over there. What's going on, man?
What's happening, buddy? How are you?
Loving life, man, as always. Can't complain. It's another week closer to football season. I know that's our ultimate end goal usually is wins kickoff. So let's get into it, man. I'm gonna start this episode off I guess with a little bit of griping, not much, but it involves Nick Chubb. Obviously, we all know we got to talk about it a little bit. We all know that recently his high school coach, Rush Probst, if I said that right, Probst, was being interviewed about some things with college and whatnot and the going ons of the backdoor stuff. And he got to talking about Nick Chubb in Georgia, and then it's essentially saying that he took money, $180,000, to come back and play for his senior year. They came out and they're like, hey, look, it's not clear that if he knew he was being recorded, yada, yada, yada. He wasn't taking a stab at Chubb. And the fact is this, and I'm not even really going to get into if Chubb did or not, because frankly, it doesn't matter. And that's my stance on it. But with this guy, this coach, it doesn't matter if you thought you were being recorded or not. You knew it was going to be logged somewhere. It's an official interview. And you specifically mentioned Nick Chubb. You could have got your point across without mentioning Nick Chubb's name, but you did. So there's something more there that's not being talked about. There's a personal axe he was grinding. You don't just slip someone's name like that in that type of conversation.
Yeah, it seemed kind of just grimy a little bit. Like he was trying to shit on him, but not really shit on him, like only a little.
Right.
I don't really give a shit. I mean, Nick Chubb replied on Twitter with like, if I needed money, I would have went pro. You know what I mean?
More than 180 grand.
Yeah. So to imply that, I think it's BS. Who cares, man? These college players have been used and abused for the entire time. Yeah, they get a free education, but the universities profit off of these guys hand over fist. So, even if it were to be true, I'm the same boat as you. Like, yeah, I don't really care, man.
Yeah, good on you, actually, because look, all that's doing, and some of these rules are so antiquated and just fucking dumb, to be blunt about it. Even if he did take that, all he did was get paid for his services. That's all that is. There's nothing illegal about it. I know it's against rules, obviously, but
fuck the NCAA.
Right.
They're dicks. They've deprived us of the fucking football game for goddamn years.
It's coming back though, right? Or is it out? Is it coming?
It's coming out like 2023, I think, is when the first one comes out. I just saw a tweet about 22 maybe, but yeah, I mean, in a way, college football players, college athletes, let's just not classify the football players, college athletes, it's similar to modern day slavery. Like, you get a place to learn and sleep and eat, and we're going to work you to death and profit off of it.
And you cannot make any money from it. None.
Right. Like, no, that's not the way it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just who gives a shit. And I don't see Nick Chubb doing anything of anything negative ever. I mean, Nick Chubb's a goddamn saint, for Christ's sake.
Dolores Mantooth is a saint.
Right? I mean, whatever. People are just looking to get their name in something. Maybe Nick Chubb hasn't gone back to the high school to show his love or anything like that. And the coach, maybe it was the same guy coaching then. And, he's a fucking dirtbag. Like, just whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, like I said,
interviewing him in the first place, for Christ's sake.
It's
He's a high school football coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the ties there were. Who knows? But like I said, just to specifically point out Nick Chubb and then say, "Whoa, it's not wasn't aimed at him."
Right.
You said his name specifically.
Right.
How is it not aimed at him? Like,
fucking idiot. Man.
I don't know. Anyway, so that's really the only negativity we're gonna have on this episode, Rich. So let me
That's
scan
fair.
down
I get
through.
it.
Yeah, that's about it. So moving on to the next topic of discussion, I'm gonna resurrect something from. It really came, I think, to light in like 2018, maybe, or 2019, but the development of it happened in 2016 under Sashi Brown with Andrew Berry and obviously DePodesta on staff at that time as well. And what I am talking about is the Browns guardrails. So if you haven't
Yes.
heard that term before, it is essentially a business plan, a business model that was developed with the people that I spoke to earlier, DePodesta, Berry, and Sashi Brown. And there was a couple other people on that analytical staff that helped do this. And it is exactly what it is. Guardrails. It's a way that the Browns can navigate this NFL landscape and conduct the business in such a way to be successful. So why do I bring this up? I was scouring the interwebs for just random news and stuff, and I came across a New York Giants article, and it referenced this. So it referenced, and then the headline of this article was "Lessons New York Giants Can Learn from Cleveland Browns," and it grabbed my attention. The headline, I was like, "What?" Because it's weird being on that side of the coin. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Right.
here's how you can learn something. So I got to reading, and of course, there's going to be a scotch of chief petty officer coming out in me. I'm only going to read the first paragraph here because this is kind of driving home my petty officer point. And then we'll get into the guardrails that I wanted to talk about here. So this article starts off, once upon a time, the Cleveland Browns used to be the laughing stock of the league. Okay, that's fair. The Brownies, as their critics called them. What? The critics call us? Okay. Anyway.
What, dude? Jesus Christ. It's so bad.
The Brownies, as their critics called them, couldn't find a quarterback, and they had head coach after head coach, including Bill Belichick, fail. They experienced so much turnover in their front office that it was fair to wonder if the ink on the contract signed by their administrators had even dried before they were replaced. Also fair. So, like I said, only a little bit of chief petty officer. Then they talk about behind the scenes, things were starting to shift. This is when Sashi came in and they started doing some things. Obviously, we know the Sashi Wars and the complete teardown and rebuild. So, and then they go on to say, well, how did they do it? And then they call into question, not into question, they bring to highlight this 9-point organizational plan called the Browns Guardrails and how it serves as a structure, and guides, yada, 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 help the Browns regain relevancy, essentially. So it was nice seeing another team kind of look at a blueprint that the Browns did and say, you know what, we can follow that and probably be successful.
Yeah. Well, for the first time ever, it's like we're being cited in an article where it's like, here's what not to do. You know what I mean? Like we're like, usually it's, let's just do the opposite of what the Browns do. I'm going to bring a little bit of chief petty officer as well. We didn't fucking fire Bill Belichick.
Right.
All right. So like somebody got it right earlier this year. Finally, we've been bitching about it for years. They're like, oh, the Browns fucking fired Bill Belichick. No, we didn't. Baltimore did. All right. That's my beef with it. Yeah, fuck the Giants. I don't really give a shit. It's gonna be tough to replicate what we did because in the middle of it, we brought in like a full-on football guy.
It kind of went a weird way.
You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of maybe an influx of we need someone to pick some talent to kind of show us how it's done or some shit. Maybe it was a fucking science experiment.
There could have been some strategy involved in that in terms of Dorsey's hiring.
Yeah, I mean,
but I guess they've had this organizational guide, these guardrails.
Yeah,
since then, Twitter. And since 2016, and it's still to this day. Obviously, Berry is now GM. DePodesta is still on staff. Sashi's obviously moved on. He's in the NBA, right, or something. But the basis of that, it's still in play today. So let's go over the guardrails, Rich. What are the guardrails, right? So there's 9 of them, 9 categories that they have in this. We'll run down through them, and there's a couple bullet points in each category because some of this is going to tie into the free agency talk that we're going to get into after this. So, and I kind of want to look at this and see, well, are they following these? Are they living by this document? So let's go through it. So the first area is talent acquisition via free agency. And they've got 5 bullet points here that they need to live by within that window. Don't pay for depth, identify difference makers, be compliant. And while you're doing that, be compliant with scheme production, factor in leadership and toughness, build your roster and use free agency less and less, and age is important. So those are under talent acquisition. Rich, as I read down through that, do you think the Browns have kind of lived by those standards they set?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, maybe I'll dial it back and say pretty much, because 2020 was a year that, we were missing some pieces of some of that talent acquisition and free agency with Billings and you know what I'm saying? Guys that opted out overall. So it kind of changed the landscape of it all. But they've been, from what I can gather thinking about it now, they've been pretty in line with what their expectation has been in free agency. They've been pretty damn good about it. I can't really think of any outliers that how old's Jack Conklin?
He's under 30. He's like 29, 28, 29, I thought, right?
All right. So, I mean, age is important. Like, I don't see them
might be 30.
signing a guy to a deal for more than a year or two that's over 30. I'll tell you that.
No, they've been short contracts with the age for sure.
The guys they're aiming for are in that 26, 27.
Yep.
And in special circumstances, maybe 28. So, yeah, they've kind of stayed in that framework. And that's how you know, like, you got to stick to your convictions. You know what I'm saying? And if you stay inside your framework, you have a better likelihood of success, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you gotta stay within the bumpers.
You can't just fucking zoom from one side to the other and bounce in and out of your framework.
Like, no, well, that goes consistency. We talked about it, I think, last podcast, right? It plays into that as well. And if this is what you determined is going to be successful, you stick with it. And I think you're right. They've hit on all these factors in talent acquisition. Don't pay for depth. Now we have pretty much the offensive side of the football to judge, right? Because they haven't really had a lot of time with the defense. This new makeup of the front office,
right?
So don't pay for depth. I think they've done that. You look at the offensive line. They were reaching into the bag, of that offensive line depth, and these were all guys who were making pennies or nothing.
Right.
And they were able to step up and play within the scheme. So identify difference makers. Of course, they're doing that. Factor in leadership and toughness. I think that's becoming a staple of this team is leadership and toughness. And then we'll see with the roster how they use free agency less and less as it goes on. Obviously, that's going to play into drafting, which is the next section, talent acquisition via draft. So there are bullet points here, Rich. Don't draft a red over a blue. So don't draft a reach player over a quote unquote sure thing or, top tier talent guy. Accumulate as many picks as possible, especially in the top 2 rounds. Be mindful of position scarcity. I like that one a lot in this, actually. And character, play, and data help build the profile. Like I said, we have one draft to judge this regime on, really. So I think I want to say I'm going to give them a pass on this because it's only been 1 year, but we're going to see more come to light this draft, Rich, in terms of how they're adhering to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, not really to the specifics of this here layout, but look at the success, I guess you could say, of the draft picks we've just picked this past year.
Mm-hmm.
You got meaningful snaps from almost everybody.
Yeah, sub Delpit. Yep.
With the exception, guys who were available. I mean, Jordan Elliott got some snaps. Nick Harris got a bunch of snaps. Peoples-Jones got a bunch of snaps. Obviously, Jedrick was out there kicking ass for the majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was involved? I mean, there were a bunch of guys. Jacob Phillips is another one who got a ton of fucking playing time from that draft class, and none of them looked outmatched. Nick
Yeah,
Harris got beat up a couple of times, but none of them looked like it was just like, holy fuck, is this guy terrible?
right.
You
Oh,
know what
that's
I mean?
terrible.
Like, so draft wise, I mean, I'm fucking happy with it. I'm
Yeah.
very happy with it.
And you just answered one of the bullet points for the next section. So we talked about talent there, acquisition via draft and free agency. The third bullet headline is talent retention, right? So you got to be able to keep that talent once you get it. So their bullet points under this are churn the bottom of the roster, and we all know good teams do that. They find these guys, they undrafted free agents are churning that bottom of the roster, and getting guys in there. Play young guys to know what you have. You just spoke to that. You saw a lot of rookies take some good snaps this year, get some experience. Identify and pay early. Now they've shown so far that they're willing to do that. Obviously, Myles Garrett extension. They extended Kareem Hunt. And obviously, we've got some guys on the table right now that are potential candidates for extensions. So identify and pay early, and make this a great place for players. When you assemble a coaching staff like you have, a coaching staff that's competent, they treat players like coworkers essentially, and they're able to do what they did. You have made a great place for players. Players want to come here. So, Rich, I think they hit on every bullet point in talent retention so far.
Well, I mean, we've got a little ways to go because you've got Nick Chubb, you've got Baker, you've got Wyatt Teller, you've got Denzel Ward. Ronnie Harrison's going to be due if we want to keep him around. So we've still, I think the jury's still out on that altogether.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. But they've shown, I guess they've shown signs in
they've been, yeah, they show signs like they're willing to. I mean, I don't, I think every one of those guys, with the exception of maybe Harrison, will get an extension. Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward are the two big sticking points, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no reason to believe that these guys aren't sticking to the plan that they laid for themselves. You know what I mean? Like they've given me no evidence that they would veer from the plan.
Nope. They are so far sticking to it as we go down this list. That's for sure. So what ties into all this stuff? Our next bullet point, obviously, salary cap. So what they say with this is maintain flexibility as long as possible, unless veteran or franchise QB. So in other words, they're saying if you're going to pay a quarterback, if you come across it, obviously that's the exception. You pay the quarterback. Oh, go figure. We're in that scenario right now.
Right.
Be able to exit after 2 years with no dead money and no longer than 3 years. So talking contracts, right? I think Barry so far has shown a knack, Barry and company, I'm going to, give the whole crew credit, shown a knack for understanding contracts. So again, that's another area the jury's still out on, but good signs so far. And the third bullet point is be creative or ahead of the curve with contract structuring. This whole area, man, the salary cap, contract structuring, it is an area I do not worry about us underperforming at all, Rich.
No, these guys are wizards and shit.
Wizards.
I mean, for real. And also with the money thing, like it's kind of, I've been shouting it since the beginning of the goddamn podcast that you and I, one of the first episodes we ever did, I guarantee you the phrase, the salary cap is bullshit. It's a myth, came out of my mouth, and I'm still sticking to it.
Yeah, because I think I followed it with dry land is not a myth.
Right. So I'm still in that point. We're not concerned with money right now.
Yeah.
I don't get, look, you want to be in the position that the good teams are in. You want to be in that position. If you got salary cap room, you suck. And it's just the way it is. Now, granted, there are teams that, run up maybe a year or two early. Okay. But in terms of how these guys are going to structure contracts and shit like that, like, dude, they'll be on it. I mean, dude, look, what they do is math. All right. And I have zero fucking concern. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no concern. These guys are fucking brilliant. That fucking Brock Osweiler trade was one of the most creative trades in sports history.
Yeah.
So I'll take that shit all day.
I will. I agree. No concerns whatsoever. So when talking about these, the areas of talent and this money, the salary cap, what positions, right? So they have a whole category in these 9 bullet points about positions, key positions. They say there are 4 key positions to a winning organization. Quarterback, obviously, we knew that was going to be on the list. Cornerback, pass rusher, and tackle. Their second bullet point in the key positions category, QB, keep investing. So that could mean a multitude of things. You can tie that back into identifying and paying early, drafting one to have succession plans. They know quarterback's the most important position. So obviously that's there, keep investing. As we look at these key positions, Rich, it's coming together, right? So obviously they inherited quarterback Baker Mayfield pretty much, even though they were still on the staff that scouted him.
Right.
Cornerback, you're looking at Denzel Ward, extending him, working some greedy back into the fold here. Pass rusher, obviously they extended Myles Garrett, and they are obviously looking to add another dynamic player there this offseason via one of the avenues, either free agency, draft, whatever. And then tackle. You've seen them bring in Conklin, and they're gonna be paying these guys. They know the offensive line. It says tackle specifically, but I'm just gonna say O-line as a whole. They know the importance of it. We've seen it last year. So again, Rich, dare I say that we get to this key positions category on their organizational flow here, and they're still sticking to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a league-wide thing.
Yeah, that is pretty standard. You're right.
Those are the four most important positions. And that's where most of your money is spent just the same. Now it's starting to creep into the safety market just the same. You know what I mean? Like safeties are starting to get a little pricey. But no, and if you look at those positions for this football team, we're in fantastic shape outside of one, and that's still corner because it's a question mark right now.
Yeah.
You don't know what Grady's going to be. You know what I mean? I do expect them to take one fairly high in the draft, but that's for later.
Yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of draft talk here after a few weeks. So, next bullet point, Rich, on their guardrails, coaching. Let's go with coaching. They have them all spread around, so that's why I'm kind of like plucking them, trying to do some kind of order here. Coaching. Under that, they say allow coaches to coach, remove management burdens, and then the second bullet is have a coordinator pipeline. And out of the two, that's my favorite one because it's you don't really think about it, but and I don't have any facts or data to back up that they're actually doing this, but I hear that line, have a coordinator pipeline, and I envision like this extensive like data-driven scouting sector that just looks at future coordinators, to bring on the squad. And I'm thinking this plays into, hey, we're planning on being good, so coordinators are going to get plucked from our team, and we're going to have to replace them. So we need to make sure we have some kind of succession plan, maybe not built in internally, but they know which direction they're going to go and have a pool of candidates.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more like referring to the roles and responsibilities in terms of coordinator pipeline. I think maybe that's a communication thing, where the position coaches speak to the coordinators, a coordinator speaks to the head coach speaks upper management. You know what I mean? Like the chain of command type thing.
It could, yeah.
So because what you don't want is like you want to be some employee and skip your bosses, skip them in line and go bitch right to the plant manager. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of more like to keep a power structure in place.
Yeah, I could see it. Actually, you know what? I could see it actually totally being both, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
They kind of fit together, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
my brain went to like immediately like in terms of like the control structure, the triangle shape.
The triangle shape.
You know what I'm saying? On the bottom list, you got your position.
Circular, round. I just watched that the other day because I love Happy Gilmore. Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Great movie. But just keeping that shit in line, I think, is part of it too.
Yeah, that's fair. And it kind of ties into the next bullet point we're talking about, and that's communication. So under that, they say weekly organized football meetings. I think that's a given. Work together so that, working as a cohesive unit, which we understand is absolutely pivotally important to have. And then no uncoordinated leaks. I like the word uncoordinated in that. No uncoordinated leaks. Unless we put that shit out there, it don't get out there.
Yeah, buddy. Loose lips sink ships. That's been the most refreshing thing with this entire front office and this group here is, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because we haven't heard shit. We ain't heard nary a fucking thing.
Yeah, it dries it up a bit.
But in the overall success for the football team, that's better. You know what I mean? Like it keeps, it keeps everybody in fucking order, man. And I'm loving it. I mean, it's less news for us to feast on, but that's the way you want it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They go on to our next bullet point, Rich, and that's competitive advantages. Obviously, the first thing they talk about with that is analytics, big data and odds. We know this is an analytics-driven team, and it's proven to actually pay dividends in multiple situations so far under this regime. And that, it really goes back to the hiring of D. Podesta. But obviously, the full realization of the analytical-driven model has been essentially this past season. So, psychology and information gathering. I think that might be another kind of standard thing. Sports science. And then they say, do not silo. And I didn't, bad job out of me. I was going to look that because I have no fucking clue what they mean there, Rich. Do not silo. Yeah, not a clue. We're going to have to look that one up. I don't know that term, what it's, means in the football world. But I like the sports science that they talk about that. A lot of that stuff kind of gets laughed at. You see them.
Hey. I got the definition real quick. And I kind of just went backwards with it. An information silo is an information management system that is unable to freely communicate with other information management systems.
Oh, that makes a bunch of sense.
Yeah, communication within an information system or information silo is always vertical, making it difficult or impossible for the system to work with unrelated systems.
Yeah, don't put everything in a silo. Don't fucking okay, that makes sense.
Everything needs to intermingle and communicate.
Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, again, that's all of these things seem pretty like, okay, everyone's doing this, right? But we saw 20 years of no one doing any of this stuff. So
no, we saw 20 years of homeless people telling us who to pick, text messages, we're going to wreck this league, to fucking, I mean,
all
we saw like the movie Nerds. Like we're the nerds now, but we used to be. I forget what the name of the fraternity was in Nerds, but we're like just we were just a bunch of big dumb animals for 20 years. Had no idea what the fuck was going on, and now we have like a structured intelligence brain trust of awesomeness, and I fucking. It's so nice to hear this shit too, because in past. You would think that most of this is like standard operating procedure. And for so long, at least here, it couldn't have been further from the truth.
Right. There was no standard operating procedure. The standard was dumpster fire. That was go light the dumpster on fire and then we'll watch it burn. Yeah, that's what we do.
Hang out.
What about when it goes out? We just light another one. We light another dumpster fire.
More gas.
All right. Last bullet point on this. These, I keep wanting to call them bumpers, dude, like bowling. I don't know why. These guardrails. The last one of these Browns guardrails would be learning. Now, we've heard this regime talk about this a bunch. So under the learning, they talk about evaluate ourselves consistently or constantly. Sorry, not consistently, both probably, but it says constantly. Evaluate ourselves constantly. We've heard, especially Stefanski, talk about this all the time, how they just exited their period of self-evaluation. And that's how you get better, right? So they say create our own data and compile what we are creating. Obviously, that just loops right back into analytics and everything we talked about throughout the communication headlines and all that stuff. So learn from other sports organizations. And we actually touched on this when they interviewed, we went over the interviews last week. It was Barry's interview, and they asked him about if, he pulls things from other leagues or teams or whatever. And he said, absolutely we do. That's, part of what we do. And well, go figure, it is part of what they do because it's in the Browns guardrails. So I think great here, Rich. They've been adhering to that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, the further we get through this list, we're starting to see that, I mean, they legit are sticking to their list. You have to be creative. You can't be so stubborn to just immediately assume you're right. And in terms of like self-coaching, like that's looking back. I mean, I'm going to make it something simple like play calling, or focusing specifically on a specific type of run game. Are we doing what we want to be doing? And having an unbiased, essentially almost like an unbiased focus group on that is self-coaching. You know what I mean? And self-reflection and seeing if we're doing what we want to be doing. You know, there's times where you have a plan set in place to do a specific task, but then you don't go about it the way you intend and it doesn't turn out right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like little like progress reports essentially to make sure you're doing what you are intending to do. And being able to check yourself like that is a huge building block. It's a huge piece.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, fucking holla.
Something like that. No, I agree 100%, man. And you're right. We went through this whole, and obviously I did this earlier, so I already knew. I was like, oh damn, they are living by these rules for sure.
Yeah, I mean they really are.
But you do the exercise, you go down through it, talk about each category, and it does make you realize, oh yeah, they're actually sticking to it, and that's that consistency, man. That's sticking to your guns and believing in the model that you have built, and seeing it through. It's paying dividends because it's showing that not changing every fucking year of your existence, not firing everyone after a year and hitting the reset. But if you stick with something, and this is a good something to stick with, but in general, if you stick with something, you will see some level of success. And we're seeing a little bit heightened level, I think, and it will continue to grow because it is a good model. It's a sustainable model. So kudos to the Browns and their staff for, doing what they said they're going to do. So, Rich, all of that stuff, well, I lied. Not all of this stuff, but the talent acquisition section's going to parlay us right into our free agency talk. We spoke earlier a little bit, and we're like, hey, talk about the free agents. Let's see if we can keep them, within the model that the Browns have built to kind of guide who we want to take. So these are our top 3 free agents that we would like the Browns to sign. Last week or the week before, we talked about potential free agents they could sign or target. These are the guys we would like to see him take. So, Rich, I'm going to kick it off, and it might be one that you already had. I'm not sure. But that would be defensive end Carl Lawson from Cincinnati. He was not franchise tagged. So let's talk guardrails he covers. He's a difference maker. Okay. Now the numbers aren't going to jump off the screen at you in terms of sacks, but I've talked about this with him already. Pressures, and QB hits. He's among the tops in that. He's tough. Okay. That fits right into, so we're in talent acquisition via free agency. He's a tough player. He's young, fits the youth category, and it's a key position, right? It's a key position for the Browns. So I think Lawson is going to be, and I've seen some stuff where he's going to be heavily targeted by the Browns. Now it's going to come with a price tag. They're going to have to come off a little bit of that salary cap room to get him. But Lawson's my number one, Rich. Rich, I think you're muted. There you go.
Hey, I'm not muted. I don't
You're
know
not
why.
muted, no Mos.
Like it came back up and it was just muted. I think Cincinnati's going to re-sign Lawson. I don't think he's going to get out. There's a narrative in Cincinnati that they don't pay their own players. They don't keep guys there. Now you have a franchise quarterback with Joe Burrow. You better start keeping some pieces around him. And so I think Lawson's for sure staying in Cincinnati. We'll see if I'm right. But my vote, my fucking number one target is Hendrickson, opposite Myles Garrett. That's my main target. You need a big body dude that's able to. I don't care how much people want to shit on Olivier Vernon. He was a really good position guy to have opposite Myles Garrett.
Agreed. Really
good at it. And Hendrickson's a better version of Vernon. That's my personal number one fucking target.
Good. I like it.
But I do have a little side piece to that.
Contingent there?
Yes. the most interesting one for the Browns that I'd like to see, both on the D line, is Hassan Reddick. Now, he could be flash in the pan type nonsense here. All right. He's not the big body guy that I'd want opposite Miles, but he looks to be a fucking headache, man. He looks to be a problem. And that's my wild card. Like, I'm curious to see, like, if we did sign, like, what we'd do with them all together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, we both have defensive line as number one. So I think we both think they're going to target D-line with their big splash. Splash, I'm air quoting if it's a splash or not, but with their first target here. So number two, Rich, and this may come as a shock, he was another one who was on my potential targets, and I think it just makes sense for the Browns to do it, and I'll explain why after I name him. Malik Hooker. So I'm still on the safety.
The ground shook. Isn't that what Hugh Jackson said about fucking Malik Hooker, man?
I'm still on him, man. He does cover some guardrails. He's young. They say don't pay for depth, right? You're not going to pay to have him in your depth chart. That's for sure. He should come at a pretty good discount. He's shown flashes of being a difference maker. So I didn't quite give him the difference maker category, but he's shown flashes, especially with his ball hawking ability, we'll say. So, injury obviously is the concern with Malik. 36 games in his career. He's never played in more than 14 games in 1 year. He missed all but 2 games last year, rupturing his Achilles. He's had knee ligament issues.
Soft.
It's an it's a concern for sure, but it's one of those low risk, high reward scenarios. His first 3 seasons with limited time, he totaled 7 interceptions. Obviously those numbers don't pop, but they're solid, and that's with missing time. So he's definitely got a knack for the ball, and I think he can come at a pretty good discount. You got Delpit coming back, so I explained why I'm going kind of low end on safety here. Well, I don't know if low end's the right word, but Delpit coming back. You got some promising guys that you saw last year play at that position. You talk about Harrison. So I think there's some guys already on the roster who can definitely help us. And Malik's one of them guys, man. Maybe he stays healthy and you get him some playing time and he lights it up. So Malik's my number 2.
All right. I'm not mad at it. I mean, my number 2 is Shaq Barrett, baby. Go spend the money on a linebacker. Shaq Barrett is the ticket.
You on it? You on that train?
I'm on it. Look, yes. I absolutely hate everything about all of our linebackers. All right. Now, some of them did play decent. Like, I don't want to say all of them are trash, but we're just not good at the position.
Yeah.
And that makes, especially with the few linebackers we're going to have in a field at a time, one of them is going to be Shaq Barrett. Like, all right, cool. It immediately makes us better. The day that his name is on the piece of paper, we are a better linebacking group by fucking light years. And
I can't argue with that.
Dude, that would be, if they sign him, that would be my favorite free agent signing of the season. I don't give a fuck who else they sign. I would lose my mind. I'd be happier than shit. That's it.
That's your number.
Dude,
numero. That's your real numero uno right there.
The one I think they're going to sign the most is number 1. Number 2 is the guy I want them to sign the most.
Okay. All right. I like it though, man. I like it. So we both stayed defensive 1 and 2. Do we switch it up? Yes, we do. I'm going offensive number 3. And it's actually, and look, this is growing more and more likely to not happen. I'll preface this by saying,
I know where this is going.
By saying that. And I'm not going to completely hate them for it not happening, but I'll be a little bit unhappy. Rashard Higgins. I think they need to re-sign Rashard Higgins. And I know money gets tossed around, and he's not going to cost a crap ton of money. It will be, half of what Jarvis is making. And then probably close to a third of what OBJ is making. So it's not going to cost a bunch, but in this scheme, you can argue what's a third wide receiver worth? You drafted Donovan Peoples-Jones last year. You got Kadarrell Hodge.
They haven't tendered him yet, though.
They haven't. But Higgins, man, he does cover some bases. Identify difference makers. Be compliant with scheme production. It says it right in their model. He is a difference maker, and he fits this fucking scheme. Why does he fit it? Because he fits with Baker Mayfield, man. He's got that chemistry with them. Age, he's still young. they say factor in leadership and toughness. Now, although Rashard Higgins is not a Jarvis Landry type leader, he's still a leader on this team. Make no doubt about that. He is. And toughness. I think the guy's pretty dang tough, man. He grits it out there for sure. And like I said, he's been Baker's go-to guy since they were on the freaking second unit in the 2018 in the Hugh Jackson fucking Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah, you can't deny that there's some type of connection there.
So
you can't.
You can't. There is. It's evidence. Now, how much value that has, it remains to be seen. You know, both sides have said they want to. You know, Higgins wants to be here. Barry said they'd like to have him here. Obviously, you've heard nothing about any type of talks. That could change, but we'll see, man. I don't know, man. With they say no leaks, right? And one of their business model bullet points, no leaks. And I don't know if we're getting much of anything. We probably aren't. So we're all speculating right now, but it looks like they are willing to move on from Rashard.
Yeah, I think a more like old school football driven team, Higgins would get re-signed. And probably he's going to get, understand this. If he's not here, he's getting ridiculously overpaid.
Probably. Yep.
All right. Someplace like Philly. I don't want to see him go, but I don't. He's going to end up like $9 million or something like that.
That's going to be
like he's going to get overpaid.
Yeah, that's going to be steep.
And unfortunately, I mean, we're an analytic-driven football team, so I think what's going to happen, they're not going to, you know, the chemistry, I don't think is a statistic that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that will play into
it's
as
not
much as like an old school football.
Verbatim.
You know what I mean?
On there.
But it'll be a sad day, but I mean, I don't, you know, whether we have Rashard Higgins or not, is it going to stop us from winning a Super Bowl?
I agree there.
My number 3, he just became a free agent the other day, Casey Hayward from San Diego. He's a corner.
Okay.
I think if you have any questions, I'm sticking all defense. The fucking offense is fine. If you still have any questions whatsoever about Greedy going in, a really good way to make me feel fucking fantastic is to go sign Casey Hayward. I think that's an interesting release by San Diego, and you know, he's a little bit older, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's right around 30 or something like that.
Yes.
So, it would just be an
intro. It
would make me feel better. Oh. Yeah, why is it sounded terrible?
It was like staticky.
Is it better?
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, so yeah, he's 31, but I think it would make me feel a little bit better. You're still gonna look, especially on defense. Like really, you could use some vets, some guys that have been around a minute in that defensive backfield because it's going to be pretty young. I think. I'd be pretty happy with that signing too, because I mean, I'm addressing all 3 levels of the defense. Yeah. If you look at our defense, we need help at all 3 levels. Man, speaking of the free agent thing, did you see the picture with Odell and Von Miller the other day? Did you? No. They're working out together again.
Oh, geez.
They're working out together.
So it's Von Miller, I'm telling you, confirmed then. That's what that is.
I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know that it's confirmed yet. But it should be. I'll be the first one to be notified ever because they realize I've been driving this bus. But that's my number 4 dark horse.
I like it. I like it.
I just threw it out there to do it.
Well, I tell you what, man. Every year, I say this every year, so take it with a grain of salt. But I am fucking super stoked for this league year to kick off, man. I just cannot wait for action to start happening. It'd be nice if we can see some of this COVID stuff lessen like significantly, like if we exceed the trajectory they think we're on, and we can start to get some off-season activities this year to talk about. It was pretty stale.
It was pretty rough last year,
obviously. So, but that remains to be seen. So, It'll be fun, definitely, when this kicks off here next week and we start getting some free agency zooming back and forth here. Should be good to go. It's gonna be fun to watch this team fill out and then build in areas to make a contention, make a run for some championships, hopefully. So, yeah, we'll see with that, Rich. More to come on free agency for sure. I want to jump into, we're going to just briefly breeze through a couple things here. Ticket prices. We're obviously season ticket holders. Those prices increased this year by my super advanced mathematical calculations, about 18% increase from last year's tickets. We were talking about, there's obviously been some outrage on it. You see it, not a ton, but enough. I see it. And I'll say it like this. Yes, it sucks. But like I told you earlier, Rich, when we were talking about it, I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, look, this is bullshit. I hate it. Fucking, ripping money out of my bank account. You motherfucker, I'll see you Sunday. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And it's the cost of doing business with a good football team.
Yeah.
We had the luxury of being like in the bottom 10% or 15% of the league for years with dirt cheap fucking ticket prices. All right. As little as 5 years ago, Pittsburgh end zone front row tickets were like $125 a ticket. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we were paying at the time, I think we were paying 55 or some shit like that, So this comes with the territory, man. Like, it is what it is.
Correct.
And plan accordingly. Don't do anything crazy. If the Browns are a fucking priority for you, then you'll pay for these tickets.
Yep.
You're not any more or less of a fan.
Which we think they will be, obviously. They're going up next year again, too. It may not be 18%, but there'll be an increase.
No, they'll increase. I mean, whether people, have season tickets or not, it doesn't dictate your fandom. No. Just because Josh and myself have season tickets in a fucking awesome spot doesn't make us any more or less fans than you. Like, everybody's financial shit is relative. If you can afford it, by all means, go. And you're allowed to bitch. You're allowed to bitch. Just because you're still paying, it doesn't give you the right to not bitch. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to bitch if someone is shoving something up your ass, right?
Yeah.
All right, then.
Right. Well, that's the whole, it sucks, but see you Sunday.
It is what it is, man. I'll be fucking there, dude.
100%. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. After sitting out last season, I just cannot wait.
We should start like a danger zone. Like, I don't know how we do it. We got to get GoPros and put them on our head.
I've got one
for the whole game.
It's a knockoff. But still the same type of.
Is it a Pro Go? It's a Pro Go.
It's Pro Go.
But somehow, for tailgating reasons, we're gonna have to record tailgate shows or something. I know we're going to party pretty heavy because that's what we do before games.
Yeah. Well, we had plans for last year with tailgate stuff, and obviously it didn't happen.
Rona fucking took a dump on that.
The big R came through. So, yeah, man, we're going to do some stuff for sure. Actually, we may have the opportunity pretty soon to maybe do a little something. We'll see how it plays out. But the draft, obviously, is scheduled to be in Cleveland at the end of April. And, right now it's fully expected to be broadcasting live from Cleveland for those 3 days. So, the Browns, obviously it's in conjunction with the 75th anniversary. So it's a good, special year to kind of do that and bring the draft here to Cleveland. And we know right now, Ohio, it says 25% for indoor stuff and 30% for outdoor. And that's right now. And that could change even as we get towards the draft, which you still got, a month and a half away. So, they've got some things they're working through with the clubs in terms of their protocols, and they're, pretty stringent as you would expect. Let's see.
I'll say the ball's rolling pretty good, man.
It is.
Yes, I think Friday in the United States, we vaccinated, or maybe it was yesterday, we vaccinated like 4.2 million people.
Not one day. Wow.
In one day.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken.
No, that's good. That sounds right, because I think we're over 100 million vaccinated now.
Yeah, I think we were averaging like 2,600 or 26, 2.6 million a day or something like that. And we had one big ass day where shit just took off.
Yeah.
Most teams, I think, right at this point, are expecting to have full stadiums come fall. So.
I would say that's fair too. I would say that's fair. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for sure. So
I'll be there whether or not we are,
I'm
wear a
going to
mask,
game.
whatever. I don't care. I'm going.
Going to game. Going to game.
Yeah, that's it.
Going to game. Going to game.
Yeah, it's pretty much the end of it. I'm going to the fucking, like, that's it. Mask or not, I'll be in the fucking stadium. I ain't missing
what I'm hoping is that things, like I said, clear up enough. Here's what we should do. Number one, we have no plans for the draft, but I'm saying right now we should make plans. I want to take a vacation day that Friday, and I wouldn't mind going up to Cleveland and doing something downtown. Maybe not an event, but like, I don't know what the citywide mandates are going to be, but like last year you couldn't go tailgate. But, maybe we could park up in a parking lot, do a little tailgate type thing, go do some draft stuff.
Maybe we watch the draft in the parking lot.
Or could even do that. But if it seems like everything's going to be going on, I mean, when's it going to come back to Cleveland?
Fucking never, man.
Right. So I'd like to get up there and experience it and enjoy it a little bit, and maybe even meet some people that may or may not listen to this podcast. Who knows? But it's kind of what we wanted to do last season, for the tailgating, right. But maybe get a little bit of a smaller scale early taster here for the draft.
So I will also take a vacation day that day, and I will join you.
Yeah, I want to take that Friday, maybe cut out of work early on Thursday, take that Friday off, get up there Thursday. Hell, maybe get a hotel room and just stay up there. Get fucking...
I will probably get a little bit crazy. I mean, let's do it. We're going. We're fucking going streaking.
Going streaking. So that, my friend, is, like I said, about 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away, the draft. So that's coming up on us. But like I said, we got free agency first, so that's coming up on us. Lots more football. Yeah, Monday.
Monday's legal tampering. Wednesday is the actual open.
Or today if you're listening to Monday, or yesterday if you're listening Tuesday. You get the point.
There's a day.
The
next day or so.
Yeah, essentially it opens.
That starts.
Monday.
I don't give a shit when you listen. It's fucking Monday. Today's Monday. Tomorrow's Monday. Yesterday's Monday.
You got it. So yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be moving quick. You know how the flurry of news comes as soon as that legal tampering period opens. So that's coming down the line. Lots of football stuff coming up. I know it's been, barren for the last couple weeks, but we're gonna get moving, man. It's gonna be fun. I cannot wait. And actually, we're gonna be kicking off our third season of the Dan6er Zone with the open of the league year. So next weekend's episode, full-length episode, will be episode 1 of season 3. So
shit,
that's a big one too. That's fun, right?
Dude, we are such a big deal. I mean,
and in super small circles, we're a really big deal.
Fuck yeah, dude. We're the medium-sized fish in a small fish bowl.
It's so good. Okay, we're going to end with the segment we forgot to do last week and we did the week before, our 5 in 5. So this week, Rich, we're going to do top 5 beers. Now, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, damn, I should have separated it by season, because honestly, I drink my beers differently throughout the seasons. So I just did a mismatch of all of it.
I'm just doing my 5 favorite beers, man.
Yep. Let's go descending order, right? Would that be descending from 5 to 1?
5 to 1. I don't know. We're
going to go that direction. We're going to start at 5, work our way to 1. So coming at number 5 on my list, Rich, I've got Thirsty Dog's Christmas Ale.
Thirsty Dog. That's where the OG guy is, right?
That's where he is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So my number 5 is PBR, and it's just for nostalgic reasons.
Okay. I mean, I buy that. I don't really like PBR that much, but I'll buy the nostalgic of it. The nostalgic nature.
That's exclusively why. Like, it is not good beer, but it has to be on this list.
Yeah. Number 4, I'm sticking with the same brewery, Thirsty Dog. Their Bloodhound Orange IPA is fucking good.
That is pretty good. Number 4 for me is Red Stripe.
I did not expect that one, and I have seen you drink that a bunch, actually.
Yes. So Red Stripe, it's just a good beer. It's Jamaican beer. It's fucking good, and I like it. And the bottles are little. It's weird.
The weird little old school looking bottles.
Look, if you get in a predicament, you could whip one of those fucking bottles pretty accurately.
And those things I would imagine have a hard time breaking too, so it would just hurt a lot.
I throw it and run. So, but no, that's definitely my number 4.
I like it. Number 3 on my list, Rich, and it's usually my go-to standard beer, and that's Blue Moon, Belgian style wheat ale. I love Blue Moon. It is good.
Yeah, I'm going with Leinenkugels. The fucking what's it called? The OG Leinenkugel flavor.
The summer shandies.
The summer shandies, buddy.
Yep.
That's number 3. There's that one, and there's a berry one, but that's more of a fall beer. But sometimes I'll still have some lingering.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good, warm daytime like summer beer.
Rich, I couldn't agree with you more. That's why it's my number 2, Leinenkugel Summer Shandy, because during the summer I talk about go-to beers. You're right, summer, all summer long, from early, probably late spring, all the way through early fall. It's Leinenkugel Summer Shandy, dude, and it's that beer. I could drink 12 of those and not be hammered drunk, but have a good buzz and just be good. It's my golf beer. I drink it
that 100% the golf beer. My God, golf beer for sure.
Yep. So that's my number 2.
All right, my number 2 is Great Lakes Brewing Company, Chill Wave.
Oh,
fantastic fucking beer.
That's a curveball.
Yeah, I had some. It was a couple summers ago. And I was like, because I think it just came out. It was real short sample, like 4-packs running around. And you got to watch. Those boys are heavy, man.
Yeah.
They will fucking get you fucked up at warp speed. But good beer. Very, very good beer. I like it a bunch.
Yeah, I'm going to, you know what? We'll get it. Great Lakes Dortmunder Gold would be my number 1. It's my favorite Great Lakes beer. It's kind of just a good go-to for me in terms of lagers, and I can drink it all year round, and that's why it made the number 1 spot for me.
Dude, I think we need to work on a fucking Great Lakes Brewing sponsorship, because my number 1 beer of all time ever.
I'm going to guess. Hold on. I'm going to guess. Burning River.
Burning motherfucking River, dude. That is my beer. It is my favorite beer fucking ever. I drink it morning, noon, and night, summer, winter, doesn't fucking matter. That's my shit.
And here's how I know, because anytime you come over, you usually bring Burning River, and there's usually one left over. I usually have a Burning River in my beer fridge. I'm like, that was rich.
Well, look, because I'm telling you, that 6 one, the other 5, you're good. You drink that 6 one, and you're a 12-pack drunk.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
18-pack drunk. Dude, that 6 one is the fucking, the dick punch that puts you out. 5 puts me right on the fucking level, man. And it's a fantastic beer. It's my favorite beer of all time. Great Lakes Brewing Company. Why don't you fucking reach out to us? You know what I'm saying? Put your logo right down there at the bottom of the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. All right. That's our 5 and 5. We always take longer than 5 minutes, so we won't change the name either. We're just going to lie to you and tell you you're getting it in 5 minutes. It's going to take 8. So
right.
That's it for this week's episode, guys and gals. So thanks for stopping in. Rich is going to lead us out with some words of wisdom, and you're going to keep your eyes peeled for us next week with new episodes. So Rich, take us on out.
All right. So I'm going to steer us away from football for a moment. And my words of wisdom this week are: hold on for dear life. Go get yourself some AMC.
Yes.
All right. AMC Entertainment. Get on the stock market. Don't buy anything crazy.
Disclaimer, we are not financial advisors. We are not financial advisors.
No, we are 2 smooth-brained apes. All right, 2 smooth-brained apes. But I'm telling you right now, in the coming weeks, this is going to be your cheapest opportunity. Go buy a couple of shares of AMC and let it ride, baby. All right? Diamond hand that bitch to $1,000 a share. Go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.